Have you ever looked back on your life and realized it wasn't the chaos that ruined everything? It was the moments when you let emotion decide for you. A few words spoken in rage, a choice made in pain. A silence you thought didn't matter, but it did. Life isn't shaped by dramatic events, it's shaped by the quiet choices. The moments no one else sees but you remember. This isn't just a video, it's a wake-up call. If you feel like life's been pushing you around lately, if you're tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not, then lock in. Let these truths sink in. And if you want more of this kind of energy, the kind that hits you where it hurts but also helps you heal, subscribe and turn on notifications. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Let's start with something that destroys more lives than people ever admit. Because the truth is, choices made in anger cannot be undone. Anger feels powerful in the moment. It gives you the illusion of control. But the damage it causes, that sticks around long after the moment is over. You can say you didn't mean it. You can apologize until your voice cracks. But some words can't be unsaid. Some bridges can't be rebuilt, sir. No matter how sorry you feel, one moment of rage, that's all it takes to ruin years of connection. The strongest people aren't the ones who yell the loudest. They're the ones who know when to pause, breathe, and walk away. Because you don't win by saying everything that's on your mind. You win by not becoming the kind of person you'll hate tomorrow. And now something even deeper. Because when everything else fades, in the end you only have yourself. We all want love, support, someone to understand us. But the hardest moments in life, they show you who's really there, and sometimes the only person left is you. It's a painful truth. You were born alone, you'll leave this world alone. And in between you have to learn how to stand on your own. That doesn't mean you shouldn't care about people. It means you shouldn't need them to keep yourself together. When the lights go out, when the room is quiet, when no one picks up the phone, it's you versus your mind. And if you haven't learned how to show up for yourself, that silence will destroy you. So start now, build that inner strength before life tests you. Because when it does, there won't be time to figure it out. Let's shift gears. Because one of the most misunderstood truths is this: happiness lies within your attitude, not what you have. We've been sold a lie. Get more, and you'll feel better. Make money. Look good. Buy the stuff. Then you'll be happy. Right? Wrong. You can have the house, the job, the relationship, and still feel completely empty. Why? Because happiness has nothing to do with what's around you. It has everything to do with what's inside you. You can be broke and at peace, you can be rich and miserable. It's never been about income, it's about inner calm. Start with gratitude, start with being present. Start with choosing joy even when you don't feel like it. You don't find happiness like it's buried treasure. You build it, moment by moment, based on how you think. Now let's talk about something darker. Because not every threat looks dangerous. The most dangerous animal on this planet is a fake. Some people don't hurt you with fists, they hurt you with smiles. They pretend to care, they pretend to support you. They get close. And then they start to drain you. And by the time you realize it, they've already taken your peace, your energy, your trust. These aren't enemies, they're shapeshifters. They know how to look like friends until they don't. Want to know who's real? Watch how someone treats people they don't need. Watch how they talk when no one's listening. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. A fake person won't break your heart. They'll break your ability to open it again. So don't just protect your space. Protect your spirit. Because recovering from betrayal is harder than avoiding it. This is only the beginning. And if you felt even one line hit you like a punch to the chest, that means you're ready. Ready to see life for what it really is. Ready to grow past the lies. Ready to stop pretending everything's okay when it's not. So don't forget. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and keep this energy going. Some truths don't sink in until life smacks you with them. And once they hit, you don't unlearn them, you don't go back. You just carry them quietly, heavily, everywhere you go. Here's one of those truths: the ones who love the most have endured the most pain. That kind of love isn't born from fairy tales. It doesn't come from a perfect life. It comes from being broken and still choosing to care. From having every reason to shut down and still opening your heart. The people who love deeply, the ones who give without keeping score, they've been through the kind of loneliness that changes you. They've cried alone, begged for someone to understand, and got silence in return. So, When they love like it's the only thing keeping them alive, because at some point it was. But here's the part that stings. That kind of love, it's not always appreciated. It's misunderstood, taken for granted, even thrown away, and that's the final test. To keep loving without losing yourself. To protect your heart without building a wall around it. To stay soft as without becoming a fool. If you've ever loved like that, you know it's not weakness, it's power, and not everyone deserves access to it. Now let's talk about something most people avoid. Life is not the same for everyone. That sounds obvious, but it hits different when you finally feel it. When you realize you've been working 3 times as hard just to stay afloat. When you see someone else glide through life while you're drowning in problems they'll never understand. The world doesn't hand out suffering equally. Some people are born into safety, others into survival mode. Some walk through open doors. Others spend years just trying to find the damn hallway. And if you're one of the latter, you're not lazy, you're not behind. You're carrying more than they ever had to lift. Life isn't fair, but that doesn't mean you stop walking, because here's the thing. Easy lives rarely build strong people. Your struggle might not look good on social media, but it's shaping something deeper, something rare, something resilient. So stop comparing your timeline to theirs. You're on a different road, and you're still here. That means something. Let's talk about 3 things that will teach you more than any classroom ever could. Heartbreak, empty pockets, and failure. You won't find those lessons in textbooks, but they'll educate you like nothing else. Heartbreak. It strips you. Takes everything you thought was solid and burns it to the ground. And in that ash you learn something raw. Love is never owed. You can give your soul to someone and they can still walk away. And if they do, you have to decide, will this break me or rebuild me? Empty pockets. That's a test of who you really are when nothing's cushioning you. No safety net, no backup plan, just you, and the hunger to keep going. It forces you to get creative, to hustle, to let go of ego and grab onto grit. Because when you've had nothing, you learn how to make something out of scraps, and failure, that's the one nobody escapes. You fall, you feel small. You start to wonder if maybe you were never meant to win in the first place. But if you listen closely, failure speaks. It says, not this way, but maybe another way. Every time you fall, you get data, clarity, and a decision. Stay down or get up smarter. These 3, heartbreak, poverty, failure, they don't ruin you, they introduce you to you. Let's shift the focus a little now. Because the world likes to hype up the wrong things. It praises money, status, flexing, but forgets the most powerful quality a person can have: humanity. You can have 10 degrees and still lack compassion. You can drive the best car and still drive people away. You can wear the nicest suit and still act like trash. What matters most? How you treat people when there's nothing to gain. People won't remember your job title. They'll remember if you made them feel seen. Some of the kindest people you'll meet have nothing to prove. They just carry light and give it freely. Real status isn't how high you climb. It's how many people you lift up on the way. Never let the world convince you that kindness is weakness. It's the sharpest tool you'll ever carry. Now this part is simple, but it changes everything. Don't wait for opportunities, create them. No one's coming to hand it to you. No one's scouting you in the shadows. No one's magically going to show up and say, hey, now's your time. You make the time, you build the platform, you take the shot. Even when it's shaky, even when no one's clapping, even when the voice in your head is screaming, this won't work. Do it anyway. Start messy, start loud. Start when you don't feel ready, because no one ever is. The world wasn't built by people who waited. It was built by people who started. Let them call it crazy. Let them laugh. They won't be laughing when it works. And even if it doesn't, you'll be further than they ever were because you moved. Now here's a hard one. The kind of truth you don't want to admit. But once you do, it sticks with you forever. Pain makes people stronger. Not in a movie montage way, not in some poetic motivational quote way. In a real way. Pain makes you reevaluate everything. It strips away what doesn't matter. It leaves you raw. But it also leaves you real. When you've been through pain, you stop pretending. You stop tolerating fake. You stop wasting time. You become sharper, quieter, wiser. And the best part? You become someone you can rely on. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it did. And you're still here. That's not just survival, that's strength. There's a moment in everyone's life when they hit a wall. Not just a bad day, not just a little stress. I'm talking about that deep soul-level breaking point, when the people you trusted vanish, when your plans go up in smoke, when you're alone with your thoughts and the silence is loud. That's when this truth shows up. You have to believe in yourself, even when no one else does, and that's hard. Because self-belief isn't some cute Instagram quote, it's a daily war between who you are and who the world says you're not. Some days your own mind turns against you, tells you you're not good enough, that you're a fraud, that you're wasting your time. But you've got to respond with something stronger. You've got to answer back with action. Not noise, not drama, just action. Every time you get back up, every time you try again, every time you push past fear, you're proving that voice wrong. You don't need them to see your value. You need to see it. Because when you truly believe in yourself, not in a loud, arrogant way, but in a quiet, unshakable way, you become dangerous in the best possible sense. You stop waiting for permission. You stop apologizing for existing. You walk into rooms like you belong, because you do. That's real confidence, and it's built in the dark. Let's talk about the mirror for a second. Not the one on your wall, the one in your mind. Because there's something a lot of people never learn. How others see you isn't what matters. How you see yourself means everything. The world will judge you based on their limitations, their fears, their expectations. They'll put you in boxes, tell you what you can and can't do. If you listen to all of them, you'll shrink yourself to fit their comfort zone. You'll become a watered-down version of who you really are. And that's a tragedy. Because self-worth should never be outsourced. If you see yourself as weak, they will too. If you walk around like you're broken, they'll treat you like you need fixing. But if you carry yourself like someone with value, people adjust. The world reacts to your energy. So here's the challenge. Stop letting other people's opinions become your truth. Be the one who defines you. You are not your mistakes, not your past, not their projections. You are what you decide you are. That's power they can't touch. Now let's get into something most people try to ignore. Every action has consequences. That sounds basic, but most people act like it's optional. They move reckless, speak without thinking, choose short-term pleasure over long-term peace. And then they're surprised when it all blows up. But the truth is, every choice plants a seed. Sometimes it grows into something beautiful. Sometimes it grows into a nightmare. And here's the twist. You don't always see the results right away. That angry message you sent, that bridge you burned out of pride, that one lie you told to protect yourself, it might not catch up today or tomorrow, but it will, because life keeps the receipts. And sometimes the price you pay shows up years later. So think before you speak, pause before you react. Ask yourself, is this worth the cost? Not just to others, but to you, to your peace, your progress, your future. Some doors, once closed, don't reopen. Some words can't be unsaid. Some damage can't be undone. Maturity is learning that just because you can, doesn't mean you should. You've got to move with intention, because whether you like it or not, you're always creating your future, with every choice you make. Let's go deeper now, because there's a part of growing up that feels brutal. The moment when you look around and realize in the end, you only have yourself. That doesn't mean you'll never have friends or love or people who care. But at the end of the day, when it's quiet, when it's hard, when everything feels like it's falling apart, it's you who has to carry you. Nobody can cry your tears for you. Nobody can fight your battles for you. Nobody can climb your mountains for you. That's your job. And the sooner you stop expecting someone else to save you, the sooner you start saving yourself. Here's the hard truth. You could pour your soul into others and still be left empty. You could be everything to everyone and still feel alone. But you'll never feel truly abandoned if you become the kind of person who has their own back. So how do you get there? You stop abandoning yourself when things get hard. You stop betraying your values to fit in. You stop putting your healing in someone else's hands. And you start asking, what do I need from me right now? It's not selfish, it's survival. Because when you become your own safe place, you stop being desperate for someone else to play that role. Now let's pull all of this together, because there's something beautiful that happens when you've loved hard, been broken, rebuilt yourself, failed, and still showed up. You become someone who doesn't flinch, someone who's seen the worst and decided not to live there. Someone who's been tested and came out wiser, quieter, more grounded. You don't need to prove anything. You just walk differently, with clarity, with calm, with inner weight. That kind of strength, you don't find it in comfort, you find it in pain, you find it in the wreckage, and you carry it forward. So if you're walking through hell right now, keep walking. If you're rebuilding from the ground up, then keep going. Because this version of you, the one that's coming out of the fire, is going to scare people who only know your past. And that's okay. You weren't made to stay small, you were made to rise. You know what's wild? Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet didn't get that strength from a book or a quote or a seminar. They got it from pain. Real pain. The kind that rips you apart. The kind that makes you question who you are. The kind that leaves you on the floor, breathing like the air just got taken out of the room. But they didn't stay down. They didn't numb out. They didn't quit. They let the pain mold them, break them, rebuild them. And that's where their power comes from. Pain makes people stronger, not always louder, not always more confident on the outside, but deeper, wiser, harder to shake. They don't cry over petty things anymore. They don't chase fake people. They don't need approval from the crowd, because they've already seen the bottom and made it back. That's why you should never underestimate someone quiet, someone calm, someone who's been through hell and chose peace over revenge. Those people, they're dangerous, but in the best possible way, because their strength doesn't come from ego. It comes from survival. And speaking of survival, there's something else life will teach you, usually the hard way. Opportunities don't wait for you. You have to create them. A lot of people sit around hoping, waiting for luck, waiting for a break, waiting for someone to notice them. But the truth is, nobody's coming to hand you your dream. Nobody's going to beg you to show up. Nobody's going to force you to evolve. That's your responsibility. And the wild part? Sometimes the opportunity you're waiting for is hiding inside the thing you've been avoiding. That uncomfortable task, that awkward conversation, that risk that might not work out. That's the door. That's where it starts. But you have to knock. Sometimes you have to kick it open. Because if you keep waiting for the right mood, the perfect timing, or someone to believe in you first, you'll be stuck in the same place a year from now. So stop waiting for motivation. Move without it. Create momentum with what you have. Start small. Start now. Start imperfect. The opportunities will find you when you start acting like you deserve them. Here's a truth nobody talks about enough. Humanity is greater than status. We live in a time where people think numbers mean everything. Follower count, bank account, car model. Who claps when you walk in the room? But you know what actually matters? How you treat people when no one's watching. How you show up when there's nothing in it for you. How you make someone feel just by being present. Because the loudest person in the room isn't always the realist. And the one with the biggest platform doesn't always have the biggest heart. Titles fade, money comes and goes, popularity is a wave. But kindness, compassion, being real, that stays. You can't fake that. And when it's all said and done, people won't remember your status. They'll remember your energy, your presence, your words. Who you are is more important than what you have. And if you lead with humanity, you'll never be poor. Let's slow it down a bit. Because life is not the same for everyone. And pretending like it is, that's just naive. Some people were born into chaos. Some people were handed trauma before they could talk. Some people had to raise themselves, fight for their peace, and grow up before they had a childhood. So when you look around and wonder why others are ahead, remember, you don't know the storm they didn't have to walk through. And they don't know the war you fought just to be here. Comparison kills perspective. So instead of asking, why am I not there yet? Start asking, how far have I come given where I started? Because your starting line wasn't easy, and you're still running, still breathing, still trying. That alone is a win. And here's the kicker. Sometimes the ones who start behind end up building the most character. They know struggle, they know patience, they know how to grind in silence without clapping for themselves every 5 seconds. And when they finally get there, it means something. So don't shame your journey. Don't compare your pain to someone else's highlight reel. Own your path. It's shaping you in ways comfort never could. Now let's talk about something most people never want to talk about. The 3 best teachers in life are heartbreak, empty pockets, and failure. Let that sink in. Not success, not praise, not ease, but pain, lack and loss. Those are the moments that wake you up, that strip away the illusions, that force you to face yourself, not who you pretend to be, but who you really are. Heartbreak shows you your limits, your patterns, your tolerance for disrespect. It exposes your need to be chosen and asks you to finally choose yourself. Empty pockets show you what you truly value, what you waste your time on, what you're made of when the comfort's gone. They teach you resourcefulness and gratitude, humility, and failure. Failure is brutal, but it's honest. It doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat. It tells you exactly what's not working. It crushes your ego, and it introduces you to your real self, the part of you that doesn't quit, the part that says, okay, that didn't work, but I'm not done. So yeah, those 3 hurt, but they also teach you lessons no one else can. Heartbreak broke seasons, ULs that shake your pride. That's the curriculum for growth, and if you learn from them, you'll come out unrecognizable, not bitter, not cold, but stronger, wiser, and ready. Let's start with something that needs to be said out loud. Believe in yourself. Not in some fake, cheesy self-help way. Not just when things are going well, but when it's hard. When it feels like nothing is working. When the voice in your head is the only one left, and even that voice isn't being kind. Believe in yourself anyway, because most of the people around you, they're only going to believe in you after you make it. After you've done the impossible, after the results. But you have to believe first. Before there's evidence, before there's applause, before anyone claps for you. Because if you don't, who will? Every great life starts with one person who said, I'm going to try anyway. And if that's you, you're already way ahead of the game. So trust your gut, trust your growth. Trust that even when it feels slow, you're still becoming the person you're meant to be. Now here's a hard truth that most people can't handle. How others see you isn't that important. We waste so much time worrying about what people think, what they might say, how we're being perceived. But the truth is, you could be the nicest, most real person on earth, and someone will still misunderstand you, still twist your words, still not like you for no reason at all. You know why? Because their view of you says more about them than it ever did about you. Let that sink in. Their insecurities, their projections, their bitterness, that's their mirror, not your reflection. So what actually matters? How you see yourself, what you say when you're alone, what you believe about your worth, what kind of energy you carry into a room, whether or not anyone acknowledges it. Because when you respect yourself, the world starts adjusting. When you know who you are, you stop chasing validation. You stop watering yourself down just to be liked. You become a force, a quiet one, a real one. And honestly, that's unstoppable. But just because you're walking in self-respect doesn't mean you're free from consequences. Let's talk about that. Because every action has a consequence. And that's not a punishment. It's just how life works. You can't throw energy into the world and expect silence in return. You can't treat people badly, act out of anger, or lie to yourself for years and think you'll avoid the fallout. It always comes back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. That's why your intentions matter, your choices matter, your self-control matters. Because every word you say, every habit you repeat, every boundary you cross or protect, it's building something. Your peace, your pain, your reputation, your future. It's all connected, so be mindful of what you plant, because that's what you'll harvest. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be honest, and willing to own your behavior. Because once you do, you take your power back. So let's take a breath. Let's bring this all together. You've been through heartbreak, loss, doubt. You've felt unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. You've questioned your worth. You've compared your life to others. You've carried wounds in silence, and yet you're still here, you're still learning, still standing, still showing up, maybe quietly, maybe awkwardly, but you're here. And that says something. You're not weak, you're not broken, you're human. And being human is messy. It's learning the hard way. It's falling and rising again. It's loving the wrong people, chasing the wrong things, and eventually realizing what actually matters. So wherever you are right now, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, let this be your reminder. You aren't done. You haven't peaked. You're still unfolding. And the best chapters? They usually come after the ones that nearly broke you. If this message made you pause, if it made you feel something real, then don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And drop a comment, even if it's just a still here. Let's build a space where people feel a little less alone, where growth, emotion, pain, and strength all live in the same room. Because if we're being honest, that's what real life is. And the more real we are with each other, the more powerful this community becomes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for feeling. I'll see you in the next one.